today, 1 year ago exactly, the law was signed in to make Bitcoin legal tender in the country of El Salvador. What does this actually mean? It means that the use of Bitcoin as a currency is accepted and its use is not subject to any taxes in the way any other country will tax you for your gains on Bitcoin as of today for right now. Um, since this has happened, since the announcement back in June of 2021, El Salvador has seen a great influx in tourism as well as a lot of foreign investment. We see very loudly and proudly a lot of Bitcoiners moving themselves to El Salvador, spending some time in El Salvador, from the likes of Max and Stacy to Jimmy Song and Jeff Booth. We've seen countless people almost make this sort of pilgrimage down to El Salvador. It's exciting. I think there's a lot more work to be done. I saw a question from 100K JPEG asking what happened to the volcano bonds when volcano miners. Look, it was a very ambitious thing that was started. Obviously, the bonds are meant to be sold to then help finance the building out of the actual volcano mining operation. That hasn't happened yet. So remains to be seen how that will pan out. We will hopefully see an update on that in the near future. Realistically speaking, I think time will tell to see if El Salvador survives this Bitcoin experiment that they've put themselves on. I know a lot of people are watching, both proponents and antagonists against Bitcoin. We will see how this pans out. I think for the time being, El Salvador and Bukele are on the right track. My one caution and my one question that I presented to the two of you is, what happens if Bukele is no longer the president of El Salvador before Bitcoin really reaches its potential? Like, are your expectations that he would be succeeded in a situation like that? But there's no guarantee then that whoever succeeds him wants to continue this path.
I would say that the El Salvador situation is very nuanced, and I won't pretend to understand the ins and outs of like how political succession would work in the situation that he wasn't or was no longer leading the country. Given that he describes himself as the world's coolest dictator, like dictators do not generally like to give up power. So not sure how that would play out, but I think at the end of the day, the people of El Salvador as individuals and as communities embracing Bitcoin is always and only a positive thing. When it was first rolled out, there were a lot of reports of issues with sort of education and, apparently some people felt like it was rammed down their throats. But even like if you separate all of the challenges there, the more people are able to understand Bitcoin, whatever the means, the better off they will be as individuals, as communities, as countries. So if there was a new regime that did not support that, which seems like a very, very like far hypothetical, then the people who had learned about Bitcoin in the meantime would still be doing fantastically. Also, as a side note, the amount of tourism that has been driven towards El Salvador by this announcement is huge. So it would be interesting to see how that would play out and how that would play out on the world stage. But as the title suggests, this is about Bitcoin Freedom Day. Fuck the WEF, the World Economic Forum, famous lizard people are deeply, deeply invested in, suppressing and preventing this kind of behavior. And by behavior, I mean a country adopting Bitcoin as legal standard, because as Christine Lagarde said, if there is an escape hatch, people will use it. So we have to block all the exits and prevent people from being able to voluntarily remove themselves from the, slowly flooding rat cage that we have created for them.
Yeah. I think it remains to be seen. I think P makes a great point. Dictators normally don't like to lose control when they are in power. They normally say that there's an end, but it's kind of like, how do they refer to it? It's like nothing's more permanent than a temporary government measure. It's like, oh no, I'm only temporarily going to be in power, and then they stay in power much, much longer. I'm not going to say Bukele is going to do that or not do that. It's just speculation or what we've seen in the past. But let's just say he were to lose the election and give up his power to his successor. I don't know. It depends on if the people really like it. And then even it kind of comes down to two caveats. If people have their money in the Chivo wallet, I think the government could try and potentially confiscate it, or obviously they know how much you have when it's there, versus if you're using a free and open source software such as Moon Wallet, MUUN, Blue Wallet, countless other ones, Blockstream's Green Wallet. There's a ton of different wallet implementations that you can use out there. But with that being said, like if the new person were to come in, there's kind of two caveats. Do they make it illegal to own? Do they try and tax you differently? Do they like, hey, like he did this, we're not going to turn it off, or we're going to try and implement a law that reverses it? Like there's kind of just, I guess, many facets to it. But if people are using it and loving it, as we've said countless times before, there's no way for someone to prevent someone else from sending a Bitcoin transaction, barring, killing them or like holding them at gunpoint. If you want to send a transaction to the network and you have a legit Bitcoin address, nothing prevents you from sending that to another person. So yeah, I think it remains to be seen. I think there's a lot to play out. I think Q, you brought up a really great point that one of the questions that we had earlier about talking about volcano mining, obviously they needed the bonds to get the capital in order to implement that. Typically, and this is just what I've heard from Greg Foss, when you're doing a large bond offering, whether it's a government or corporation, normally you shop around the market in order to try and sell this or get an idea of how many people want to buy it. Like you go to your JP Morgan, you're like, hey, do you want to buy about $100,000 worth of, El Salvador bonds? And they either say yes or no, or we'll do 50K. And so you kind of shop around. I think we were kind of hitting at that peak of the price going down, people getting a little bit nervous and not wanting to invest the capital. So I think that when they were trying to offer the bond, what was that, in January or February, we were kind of already seeing the markets turn in November. So I think it was just kind of unlucky timing. And now with Bitcoin's price down, people don't know where it's going. But that's kind of my 2 cents or my 2 sats.